Okay, next up we have Sandfire Resources and a man who needs very little introduction, Simmich, Managing Director and CEO. Beforehand we were chatting a little bit about sport, and I've just learned that Carl went to the Institute of Sport in ACT, I think it was, in 1981, but was cut down in his prime due to a broken leg in soccer, so you learn new things every day. But welcome, Carl.
Thanks very much, Paul, and ended up in resources. Who'd believe it? It's cut down in my prime. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for being here, and it's an absolute pleasure again to give you an update. And really what I want to do is set the scene for the next number of decades in terms of what we are doing as a business to sustainably move into the future and to produce commodities that the world needs as we go forward. It's been a tremendous year for us. You know, Sandfire has been a focus to base metals and particularly a pure copper play. And we really are, you know, through the course of last year, we're resetting, refining and transitioning our business. Essentially, we were in base metals and in copper, but continue to move forward and striving in our passion to be a diversified, globally sustainable mining company. We've also worked very hard over the last 12 to 18 months to look at a number of aspects of our business, including the talent pool, the leadership groups, the board of directors, and you will have seen over the last year and a bit that we've continued to add highly qualified and experienced people, not only to the board but also throughout that leadership group, and really improving that talent pool that will enable us to pursue forward the projects that we have around the globe. Dan mentioned it, yes, we have a little bit more cash than Western Areas, and we've undercalled it here because I think it's probably closer to being over $600 million, and together with investments that we have on our balance sheet of about $700 million in cash and investments at the moment, and really as a consequence of the testament to a world-class high-grade quality asset just up the road that we discovered about 12 years ago and took into production, which has been running for the last 9 years. So an extraordinary discovery, and as we've heard from Alex and we have heard earlier on today, you know, making discoveries is what it's all about, and that's a very big push for us, and that we are one of the resultants of a company that has made discoveries. And I think just to highlight, you know, whilst we've had some really fantastic years, the year we're in at the moment will be another great year, especially given this copper commodity price. And I think effectively between what we've got in the bank and in investments and what we'll generate this year will probably surpass what our market capitalisation is today. And on point, just to let those who are investors in the world know that we're well and truly lowly valued in terms of our market capitalisation. We have committed to the development of a new project in Botswana, so it's full steam ahead. I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute, but we've committed $259 million and made that decision to mine late last year, and we are full steam ahead. So that will be coming into first production in 23, the earlier part of 23. We also have a fully permitted and completed feasibility studies for our copper project, high-grade copper project in US, the Black Butte project. That is going through a little bit of a process in terms of a legal challenge, which I have no doubt we'll deal with in due course. It's a little bit of the way it is in the US. But we will get there. And we're very active in business development, looking at inorganic opportunities, and we are passionate about exploration, having spent in excess of $64 million around the globe last year, and we'll spend well and truly in excess of $50 million in the coming 12 months. We have 2 mines in Western Australia. We have 2 development projects in the Kalahari copper belt and also in the US, and we have actually 4 exploration provinces, but particularly large ones in Western Australia, Eastern Australia, and in the Kalahari exploration belt in Botswana and Namibia. We hold and control somewhere in the order of 14 or 15,000 square kilometres in Western Australia and New South Wales, and about 30-odd thousand square kilometres and growing in Botswana and Namibia. So significant footprint in terms of exploration in Tier 1 jurisdictions. It's important to making sure they're all hauling in the same direction. And what do we want to do as a business? We have always said we want to create value. We want to create value for a whole bunch of different people and people that are important to us. Clearly our shareholders, but there's a whole raft of other people in terms of our stakeholders that are important to us, and we hope as a business we create value for those through all the opportunities we see. And the hardest thing to come across, as we all know, and listening to some of the companies before us, is an opportunity. And so we want to work hard on that. Our aim is to build an international diversified sustainable mining company, And what we want to do in our 5 key strategic imperatives is to deliver on what we have got, so to execute, to build a sustainable production profile through acquisitions, through the inorganic part of our business, to be aggressive explorers and look at new opportunities, new frontiers and take high risk, so accelerate discovery. We want to make sure our people know what we're on about, we're all aligned and we're all pulling in the same direction. We optimise the resources and capabilities that we've got, and we're working hard on that, but also to make sure that we are a business, we're here to generate some value, and we optimise the balance of whatever it is that goes into the mix to making that business work in terms of a commerce perspective, and that we actually can get that message out to people. So that's what we want to do and how we want to do it. I'm not going to talk too much about copper other than there's a whole bunch of minerals looking to the future, and whilst copper's been around for a hell of a long time, it is one of the critical minerals for the future. The copper market is deep. It's the 3rd largest metal market in the world at in excess of $200 billion US at the moment, and depending on who you listen to, it's potentially a market that will more than double over the next 20 to 30 years in terms of its requirement in a number of industries. You know, strong fundamental underlying demand through construction, industrial sectors. We've seen a little bit of a kick on for a number of commodity producers with the post sort of COVID stimuluses coming out of governments and the amount of work that's going on. But then particularly, and this graph shows it, but particularly in terms of the thought process behind EV demand and electrification, etc. So I think there's a huge demand coming, and we will not see, from what we can have in the world at the moment, supply, which is under huge structurally challenging situations. Grades are declining. And we're also seeing in the largest copper producing country in the world, in Chile, even today again, as of yesterday, strikes again at Escondida. So in terms of the pressure on supply, it is significant, and I think what we will see is obviously we need new discoveries. We will need to see an improvement in technology in terms of exploration, etc., and discoveries, and also ultimately I think a movement, even though it has been positive, but increasing in the price of the underlying commodity. Trophy slide for De Grasser. This is what it has done, De Grasser and Monty, over the last 9 years, and soon as we travel through this year, we'll be over 700,000 tonnes of copper, we'll be over $6 billion worth of revenue, we'll be over $3 billion worth of cash flow, and the attendant dividends and profits after tax, as you can see. So they're last year's numbers, and they will grow even stronger. So it's been an extraordinary mine that continues to deliver. 10 years it will be when we get to the middle of this financial year. High margin, great returns. It's been a standout year last year. You know, towards the end of what will be the mine life, it's never performed better, not just in terms of market commodity prices, but in terms of what the people have done on the ground, in terms of dropping more stopes, being more efficient, better metallurgical recovery, dealing with more complicated operating scenarios and doing it better and better and better. So I thank the team and all the work they've done to deliver what they have delivered. Next year will be another very, very good year. But we continue to look at other opportunities in the region, and we're actually going back to some of our roots. We will be continuing to explore excessively in this region and aggressively. A budget of $16 million. We have a twofold exploration strategy, not only for copper and some deeper targets below where we've previously explored, and given the nature of the ore bodies we've discovered at 5% or in excess of, and in excess of 9%, it's payable dirt even if it's relatively deep. But in addition to that, we're pursuing and going back to why we were originally in the region and why we pegged the ground back on our gold exploration strategy. We potentially will also find by the end of this year we will be transitioning into a modest gold operation with some modifications to our facilities up there. Work needs to be completed on that, and we'll have decisions on that towards the end of the year. But still, I think, irrespective of that, there will still be an aggressive exploration strategy in this region because the potential is so significant. Turning to another new sector for our business, we made an acquisition just over 18 months ago of Mod Resources, and we've been working hard over the last 18 months to 2 years to optimise, and what I've said here is put together what was an initial feasibility study. We wanted to move quickly to make sure that project continued with its momentum. And that information that you see in front of you hit the ground late last year. It was done at the time on the information we had. This is well and truly will be out of date and be surpassed by the time we get to the end of this year, and we would expect to see an expanded project that will produce probably, as a starting point, 55,000 tonnes of copper, and revenues and free tax cash flows probably double the numbers you see in front of you. But importantly, that is also still the beginning of what we believe is the opportunity for this region in Botswana and for an area that we control some plus 30,000 square kilometres of. And we really do want to control what is virgin country that has not been explored, it's underexplored, let alone explored at all. Our neighbour to the northeast in Botswana controls something like 3,000 square kilometres. They have 6 million tonnes of contained copper, and they've been exploring and developing and have taken their mine, into production as of last month. So we're looking forward to spending a lot of money in this region, a lot of time and a lot of energy, and I think the benefits of that will come to bear. I'm just going to pause there for a minute because hopefully with a bit of luck I can do less talking. I'm about to show you a video of what we believe can occur in Botswana, what is happening, but all I will say as we lead into that is what you see in front of you is just 30 seconds past the hour of a 60-minute clock. So we're really at virgin times and early stages of this project and this opportunity in Botswana and also Namibia.
Spanning almost 1,000 kilometres from the grassy savanna of northeastern Botswana to the semi-arid desert of central Namibia lies the Kalahari copper belt, one of the world's emerging copper provinces. Much like the giant deposits found in the nearby Central African copper belt, the rich copper mineralisation of the Kalahari is hosted within an extensive sedimentary basin. Between the regional centres of Maun and Hansi stretches the sealed A3 highway, linking some of the most significant new copper developments in the world. Just 80 kilometres southwest of Maun, Khoemacau Copper Mining's Zone 5 underground mine was commissioned in mid-2021 and is forecast to produce more than 60,000 tonnes of copper per year. 80 kilometres northeast of the town of Hansi, Sandfire Resources' exciting new Matheo copper project is taking shape. Sandfire's ground holding extends over most of the central and western portions of the Kalahari copper belt. In December 2020, Sandfire announced a final investment decision for the Matheo copper project, with an initial investment of $259 million. Preliminary site works for the Matheo project started earlier this year, with full-scale construction commencing in July, following the award of the mining licence by the government of Botswana. The cornerstone of the Matheo copper project is the T3 deposit. T3 is an extensive sedimentary-hosted copper-silver deposit. Mineralisation extends over a 2-kilometre strike length and approximately 700 metres down dip, where it remains open at depth. The deposit consists of numerous sub-parallel zones of mineralisation, which strike and dip parallel to a northwest dipping thrust zone. Calculated as part of the December 2020 feasibility study, T3 has an indicated and inferred mineral resource of 480,000 tonnes of contained copper and 21.8 million ounces of contained silver, and an open-pit ore reserve of 360,000 tonnes of contained copper and 15.6 million ounces of silver. The T3 deposit will be mined using conventional truck and shovel open-cut mining methods. The pit will be developed in 4 stages, with a total of 40 million tonnes of ore mined at a strip ratio of 6:1. Sandfire has appointed the open-pit mining contract for the T3 pit to African Mining Services, a subsidiary of Parenti Global Limited. The contract, with an estimated value of $496 million, is the largest single contract for the project and will be implemented via a joint venture with a local Botswanan partner. In addition to the open-pit mining operation, the Matheo T3 project will include a 3.2 million tonne per annum ore processing plant that is readily scalable to 5.2 million tonnes per annum, a world-class double-lined tailings storage facility, mine infrastructure, access roads and a dedicated 750-bed accommodation village, and a power transmission system linked to the Botswana power grid. The 3.2 million tonne per annum process plant is based on a simple and robust metallurgical flow sheet comprising standard components for primary crushing, grinding and classification, flotation, thickening and filtration, storage and loadout. Based on current ore reserves, the Matheo DFS has outlined an initial 12.5-year operation, with annual production of approximately 30,000 tonnes of contained copper and 1.2 million ounces of contained silver over the first 10 years of operation. Robust operating margins are driven by forecast all-in sustaining costs of just $1.76 US per pound. Concentrate will be trucked 1,000 kilometres along the A3 highway to the modern port of Walvis Bay in Namibia for export to global markets. Reflecting its confidence in the long-term future of the Matheo project, Sandfire has approved an additional upfront investment of $20 million US for additional processing capacity, providing a clear pathway to a 5.2 million tonne per annum production rate. The most advanced opportunity for the expanded operation is the A4 deposit, located 8 kilometres west of T3. This exciting recent discovery has delivered some of the highest grade drill results ever seen in the Kalahari copper belt. Sandfire has recently announced an updated indicated and inferred mineral resource for A4 of 134,000 tonnes of contained copper at a grade of 1.4% copper. A feasibility study is well underway on the development of A4 as additional ore feed to an expanded 5.2 million tonne per annum Mathea Production Hub. Sandfire expects to make a decision on the A4 development and plant expansion prior to the commissioning of the Matheo process plant. Development of the Matheo project is now underway, with mining scheduled to commence in early 2022 and first production targeted for the first half of 2023. The T3 development is expected to deliver a major boost to the regional economy, generating approximately 1,000 jobs during the construction phase and around 600 direct full-time jobs during operations. At least 95% of the total mine workforce will be Botswanan citizens. An estimated 1,500 indirect jobs supplying provisions, parts, services and support are also expected to be created. The Matheo Copper Project is expected to be the catalyst that unlocks the potential of Sandfire's vast tenement holdings within the Kalahari copper belt. The structures, which host strata-bound copper mineralisation at the new Khomacal copper operation, are interpreted to continue for more than 150 kilometres onto the Sandfire licences. Sandfire has identified numerous priority targets for drilling, including the A1, T2E, A27, A13 prospects and the deeper NPF contact. Many of these targets have been identified using state-of-the-art electromagnetic or EM surveys, which have proven to be an effective exploration targeting tool. Botswana is a safe, democratic, politically stable and mining-friendly jurisdiction with a supportive government, ranked first in Africa and the 11th most attractive country globally for mining investment by the Fraser Institute Annual Survey of Mining Companies. It also holds Africa's strongest credit rating of BBB+ from S&P. The development of its Matheo Copper Project will support Sandfire's ongoing vision to build an international, diversified and sustainable mining company. Sandfire's operations in Botswana will launch a new era of growth, with progressive, dynamic and socially responsible management serving both investors and communities. Sandfire is looking forward to playing a significant role in the development of the mining industry in the wider Kalahari copper belt and supplying highly prized minerals essential to the decarbonisation of the global economy. Sandfire, creating value through opportunity.
So I think certainly you can see from there, it was important for us to keep our momentum going. This project is going ahead. This project will expand. And from our perspective, in terms of the potential along the belt, we haven't even started the very, the amount of work that we need to do. Clearly, when you have the neighbour next door, he's been working for a number of years. As I've said, they've gone into production. We've got 6 million tonnes of copper endowment from the work they've done, and the ground holding that we sit with is probably 5 to 6 times larger than theirs, sitting under calcrete cover, so it's actually been geology that's been preserved better, and I think the best is yet to come. And as you saw in that presentation, intersections of up to 16% copper over good width certainly bodes well for the future. So we're early days and we're looking forward to our team really getting into it, and it's really exciting for us at the moment. Moving on to another project, once again we used the comment initial feasibility study. It was also important for us to keep the momentum up in our business, and we invested in the Black Butte project through a subsidiary listed on the Toronto Exchange called Sandfire Resources America. That initial feasibility study shows 23,000 tonnes of copper, 8-year mine life, and the other attendant numbers. Just to put it in the back of your mind, these feasibility studies for Black Butte and also for T3 Matheo project were all done at a copper price of about $3.16. So a long time ago, it seems, and at a very different price. And where we sit today, that commodity price is around $4.40 US a pound, or about 40% better. So it gives you some sort of context. And our objectives for this project, is to work hard to start to add value and create value here. The project is permitted, so that is very positive. It's the first new hard rock permit to be issued to anyone in the state of Montana in 22 years, so a really positive movement forward. And for us it was important to see if we could permit the project before we got too concerned about whether, to deal with exploration and other economic improvements. Now that we have a permit and dealing with what we call a light touch legal challenge, but something that we need to deal with over the next 12 months or so, we'll look to enhancing the value of this project. We're doing exploration for the first time, seeing step-out holes intersecting mineralisation at above 3%, and really our work over the next 12 to 18 months is to get this project into a stage to deal with that legal challenge, to optimise the capex, and to then look to make an positive investment decision towards the end of next year. So that's what we'll be lining up to do, and I have no doubt that this project, which currently hosts between the two deposits, Johnny Lee and the Lowry, in excess of 600,000 tonnes of copper, will grow, and we'll be able to add value to it, but our work is only just beginning there. So very, very good. And just to close up for us, we've really been working hard to reposition the business, to get some clarity on what we want to do and where we want to go, and this vision for us to move forward to build a sustainable, global, international, future-facing metals company. And off the base that we've got and the resources that we've got available to us, our very good people, our very good system, our very good resources, we think we're in an excellent position to do that. The capital markets, the debt markets, the equity markets available for people that have got a well-organised house, have got a clear strategic plan, is open and very, very supportive. Clearly, with 2 feasibility studies, with one project in construction, another one at the appropriate time ready to go into construction, we feel like we're in a very good position to start to create and extract value from that, and we really feel like we're rejuvenated, refreshed and ready to go. So thanks very much for your time today, and I look forward to keeping you updated. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Carl. We do have time for a couple of questions, so if there's anyone in the audience who's got questions for Carl, please raise your hand, we'll get you a microphone. Yep, there's one gentleman just here on the left-hand side as you guys look at it. Yep.
Greg O'Neill, morning. Carl, 2 questions. Do you drive a Tesla?
I'm trying to get Peter Bradford's off him. It's about time he should get a new one. I don't at the moment, but I'm looking forward to getting one at some point in time. I'll pick up a second-hand one from Pete while he gets a new one.
And the second question is, the Frank Zappa song says, I'm moving to Montana to be a dental floss tycoon. What's the exploration upside in Montana?
It's actually really significant. Rather than being a dental floss tycoon, I think it's full of IT. All these IT billionaires all seem to be moving to Montana, so it's got this really interesting dynamic. There's that Kevin Costner program that is very similar to what you see over there in terms of these ranching sort of billionaires that run around in helicopters and all the rest of it. It's quite funny. But look, you've got this sort of really difference in terms of clashes of cultures in terms of the history and the cattle life. And, you know, Montana actually being a metal state, and in fact it's I think the motto for the state is gold and silver, and then all the cattle ranchers came to feed the miners. So it's very much a big mining history. Phenomenal exploration opportunity or mineral endowment in Montana. One of the largest, I think it is the Butte copper mine in Montana, had at the time, and probably still rates highly, as the largest or the greatest mineral endowment anywhere in the world, and it was, you know, it's been an operation that still is an operation in parts today. In the region we're in, the discovery was made at Black Butte by Teck Kaminko in 1984, and there's been no further exploration work undertaken outside of the original sort of discovery envelope. So the only work that has occurred is us infill drilling to put resources and then reserves together. So we're really excited about the potential of the belt and the strike. There's a lot of outcropping mineralisation, and we are, for the first time in the last few months after we succeeded in getting our mining permit, is now doing exploration. What I didn't need was a bigger project with better economics that I couldn't permit. So our objective, the strategy for Montana, was to actually get a permit now to try and develop and improve the economics. A very different strategy to Australia, or a very different strategy for what one might do in Botswana, where there are no impediments to move a quality project into production. So it's horses for courses a lot of the time, but in terms of mineral endowment, mineral potential, grade of ore bodies, you know, the average grade in Black Butte is in excess of 3%, so copper. So that's a really good borderline grade, and there's a long strike there as well, so a lot of potential.
Great, thank you for your question. We have a question just come in on the text from Peter Arden, who's now running groundwork. So he wants to know, has Monty delivered on your expectations, and how does that influence things from here?
Monty certainly, you know, one of those interesting ones is very, very high grade, small ton ore body, 1 million tonnes the resource was 1 million tonnes at 9.5% copper. It almost didn't have enough room for too many other commodities, a little bit of gold, a little bit of silver, but extraordinary high grade. In terms of also drilling that out in the reserve categorisation, challenging because you might have drill holes. We had drill holes of up to 56% copper, you know, 50, 61%. And you go, you know, and so when you're trying to extrapolate in terms of, you know, your tonnages and your reserves there, it does become challenging, because unless you're drilling 5 centimetres away from the other hole, you might get a grade that goes from 56 down to 14 or something. So the grade delivery ultimately, I think on balance, when we average it all out during the period of time, it has delivered effectively that reserve grade of 9.5. You know, the resource grade was 9.5. The reserve grade was 8.5 or thereabouts. I think it's delivered on that. But we've had some real volatility along the way, dealing with some extraordinarily high-grade bornite, you know, pure bornite effectively, which I think runs, you know, 63% in situ. So, and really, after that, what we're doing, you know, DeGrussa Monty will run till about October next year. We will be making a decision on the gold transition by the end of this calendar year, so the end of the year. If we do proceed into the gold strategy, we will modify the plant to be able to operate gold or silver processing facilities while we continue to undertake exploration for copper as well as gold in the region. So I think we're keeping our options open in terms of being able to utilise what is still pretty much a brand new $400 million facility that sits up at the DeGrussa plant. So keep all the options open.
Right. Okay, well, please thank Karl Simmich.
Thank you.